Yo, what up, y'all? It is your boy, Mr. Vinny Dangerous, and I am back with another episode of the Dangerous Minds podcast. And I will be honest, this one is going to be a tough one for me. Because I'm speaking as a fan. Now, when I did the episode 8, I believe, it was my beef with Michael Jordan. And after doing that episode and with the the weeks preceding it, because before I think it was right before football season started. So all of this other stuff, the Colin Kaeprinak protests, everybody else speaking out or having things to say about the situation happened after that, right? So as things started to go along, and I did my episode about the Colin Kaepernick situation and the response he's been getting, and after that, I had many people come to me because they remembered the Michael Jordan episode and they remembered the Colin Kaepernick episode and the things I've had to say about people speaking out. And one person, I touched on it a little bit in the Colin Kaepernick episode, but one person I honestly, consciously avoided talking about because I'm a fan and, we have those biases, was Cam Newton. I'm a huge Carolina Panthers fan. And because of that personal connection, it was really hard for me to do this episode. So I've been pushing it back. I've been touching on other topics, but every week I get people hitting me up. They tell me that you got to speak on them because every time I turn around and this is brought up to my attention, or it's brought up to his attention more, I would like to say, he has said all of nothing. He has tap danced around the questions. He's tap danced around how does he feel about the police brutality that's been going on. With everything going on in Charlotte, he was asked about that. He was asked about the Colin Kaepernick situation. And he said all of nothing the entire time. So, people are a little... everybody has been upset, including myself. And not just because... And I'm not just speaking up on this now because the Panthers are having a shitty season. I've already announced that I quit football season after week 4 for this season. I will be back next year. But I knew I had to do this after I read an article on The Root, www.theroot.com. And the article was entitled, "What the fuck happened to Cam Newton?" Because that was my exact thought after watching his recent comments a couple weeks ago about everything going on in Charlotte. And he did a whole lot of tap dancing around the question. Charlemagne, the guy from the Breakfast Club, gave him donkey of the day. Stephen A. Smith, who I've never saw eye to eye with in a lot of situations. For that comment alone, I got a newfound respect for him. Because of what he was saying was pretty spot on to how everybody's feeling. And the biggest question is, what the fuck happened to Cam Newton? So we're going to do some investigating. And, we're going to try to figure out what the hell happened to Cam Newton. So, let's start off from the beginning. So, last year, I'd always been a fan of Cam Newton since he became a member of the Carolina Panthers. But he is, let's just say his performances were good, but they were never above average. Then the world decided to pay attention. Because last year, the Carolina Panthers went 15-1 in the regular season, made it to the Super Bowl, and, whether how you feel about them coming up short the way they did, during that game, it was one hell of a season, and all eyes were on Cam Newton. Like, the opposing quarterback on the Denver Broncos. Everybody knows Peyton Manning. He's been on that stage before. Cam Newton was the new guy, and it was his antics. He was a tall, handsome, brash, young, and confident black athlete. And he was doing things that a lot of people hadn't seen before. It wasn't just they were 15-1, they were breaking records left and right. They were playing and they were leaving everybody in the dust, and it was just something that a lot of people ain't seen before, and he commented on it himself. And, you know, once you were a black athlete or you're a black star that's just making them white people feel uncomfortable because you're doing, you know, stuff outside of the norm, people are going to hate on you. Like, there's this whole bunch of bashing and stuff came Cam's way through the entire time that they were chasing this undefeated season. The entire time they were in the playoffs, and all the way up until even after the loss at the Super Bowl. And there was a lot of people, black and white. Everybody had something to say about Cam Newton. A lot of it was negative, honestly. The fans loved him. The kids, the people thought he was a huge role model. I thought Cam Newton was a great role model because you don't really get too many of those in football, especially when you think about the track records of some of the greatest football players. They have some fucked up shit. You know, a lot of the people that had something to say about Cam had their own past and their own issues that they've dealt with that put them in the limelight in the wrong way. And you have somebody that is, you know, role model. He's just an upstanding dude. He ain't out here doing nothing. You know, even when they see him out places, he's just a regular guy. He's just out there having fun. And people took so offense to that. So, it just boggles my mind. I mean, because, the hate was so bad. I went to bat for Cam on Twitter. Warren Sapp blocked me on Twitter because I had stuff to say about the comments he made. He was talking, shit about Cam, like, what happened to all that dabbing after the loss? Like, now you want to cry, be a man up, shit like that. So I started getting at him, like, he tried to call him like an embarrassment. Then I just tagged him in his track record, him having his history of domestic violence and all this other stuff. Hey, he didn't say nothing to me because he blocked me. I ain't cuss at him. I ain't fuss at him. I ain't say nothing crazy. I ain't call him no names. I just said, I think you need to look in the mirror, bro, before you start judging. And I got blocked. But, that's neither here or there. It's kind of my thing now. I get blocked by old athletes on Twitter. They just don't like what I got to say. So we all had your back, Cam. We had your back. Then shit got real. The offseason. As far as I can remember, I don't really think there were too many incidents happening in the news about cops killing black people on camera around the time when Cam was getting all this scrutiny. He was the only black person in America that was hated on what it felt like. Because at that time, there wasn't really too much happening. So, during the offseason, it's been happening. It ain't stopped. It just ain't been filmed as often. But, it started popping up in the news. It became a big issue. You had Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, the shootings in Charlotte and Tulsa, Oklahoma happened. And everybody looking at Cam. And Cam got shook. I don't know if he's been shook by the league, because that's one of the theories that the root, the article that I read, what the fuck happened to Cam Newton. One of the theories that they had in the article was that there is, hold on, let me pull it up. I have some notes. I'm probably not going to even say this right. Damn, I can't. I think I'm going to sit here and butcher this name, so I apologize, y'all. Um, a man by the name of Frank Luntes. I'm just going to give his bio. He is a GOP pollster who made his living crafting the Republican Party's mission statements into more plausible sound bites. So basically, he's the guy that comes up and makes sure that you get your point across, but do it in a way where it's roundabout. It kind of, change the wording so it doesn't sound as bad. Probably could have used somebody like that for the Donald Trump thing, which, let's be honest, he wasn't going to listen anyway. But he's basically the guy that turns, he turns it really nice. It becomes a lot more PG and more digestible for people. And, because they said one of the things that he could be credited for is changing the phrase global warming to climate change. Basically making it sound nicer. And apparently he's been working with the NFL when they feel like somebody is going on these interviews and they're not being so PC. And he's the guy that's going to come and groom you to make sure that you sound like a good old boy in them interview. And they're saying that that's the guy that's gotten into Cam Newton's ear, and the league is like, oh no, if this is going to be our top guy in the NFL, because he's the reigning MVP until the end of this season, because the way the season's looking now, he's not getting it. But he's the guy that came in and groomed him and pretty much made him a good little boy. So when he got up in front of those cameras and started talking about the Black Lives Matter issues, taking a stance that Colin Kaepernick's taking, they're going to make sure that Cam Newton tries his best to be neutral as possible. He's going to protect his brand and at the same time try his hardest not to piss off the black community, which I think they did not anticipate the fact that we see through that bullshit from a mile away. Either you're really bad at it or we're just really good at telling. And it might be a little bit of both. But we hear the dancing around the questions. You don't know if it's right, if it's wrong, if Colin Kaepernick can take a stand. You're complaining about 1/8 of an inch of skin that separates all of us. And you're basically trying to do it a roundabout way. You're trying to be neutral, trying to say that we're all above skin color. Well, guess what, Cam? We're not the ones you need to talk to. Because you were also saying that we also need to hold each other accountable. So pretty much it's a roundabout way of saying that until we handle black on black crime, we shouldn't be complaining about the police taking us out. I know what the fuck that means. You just made it sound a little bit more digestible. You're trying to say that this is what they're saying when they say that. Or this is what you mean. You want us to be above race. Well, guess what? These motherfuckers ain't doing it. I don't got a problem with white people. I may get up here and talk my shit. I may get up here and call them out directly because I'm just not going to beat around the bush like you are. I'm going to call a spade a spade. If you got a problem with Colin Kaepernick, but you silent when black people are getting killed by police and nothing happens to them, you're a racist. You're not, unaware. You're not privileged blonde. No, you're a racist. Because you don't give a fuck about black people, Hispanic people, maybe not even Asian people. You don't give a fuck about nobody but yourselves. If that's your stance, if you support Donald Trump, you're a racist. If you scream all lives matter but don't have a problem with black people getting killed by police officers that are supposed to do their job, you're a racist. If you have preconceived notions about black people when you see them walking down the street, you're a racist. I'm going to call it like it is. Colin Kaepernick is calling it like it is. you are afraid to speak up. And what makes it so much worse is the fact that if I knew you had something to lose, I would maybe give you a pass. But you $60 million guaranteed. You set, bruh. Colin Kaepernick had way more to lose. And he's losing endorsement deals. He's gaining a lot of support. But in the beginning, he was losing endorsement deals. He's still probably going to lose more if this thing keeps up and it gets any bigger. Which, I mean, right now it's not, because the difference between Colin Kaepernick and Cam Newton also, y'all both were discriminated against. But even though Colin Kaepernick is still catching hell, it's starting to die down. It's not the big topic of conversation like you were. You were the big you're the big topic of conversation because you like to dance and, have fun, and they called you an embarrassment, and it went through the entire season. You were a hot button all season. Why? Because you were winning. I hate to say it, but the 49ers are not winning right now. I mean, it's still early. Like, if they were in title contention by the end of the season, it's going to come back up. It's going to be an issue that was going to escalate and it's going to burn up because, not to call him a loser, but that's also the part. You had the stage to say something, and we all had your back. When you were the one that had the target on your back, you were the black quarterback that they had never seen before, and it makes them scared. But now that you're not the one in the spotlight, now all lives matter and we're all above race and all this other stuff. And it hurts personally because like I said, you were the guy, not just because you played for the Carolina Panthers, but I saw you and I saw something different. I saw a guy that even if he doesn't decide to be the next Huey P. Newton, or he wasn't out here, making speeches like Malcolm X. Matter of fact, we're not even going to use those people. We're going to say, you're not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or you didn't have to be Colin Kaepernick, or you didn't have to be Muhammad Ali. You didn't have to be those guys. But one of the things that Stephen A. Smith said that I completely agree with was that, why did you do the interview? If you didn't want to talk about it, because, I noticed when he was talk about the stuff, like I seen the video, before I was just listening to the audio, I seen the videos, and he was making this little, every time he would go to talk about something, it's almost like he had to catch himself, because he make this little twitch with his neck. He would he's kind of sucked sucked some air in, dropped his jaw, and twisted his neck, and he was like, that's almost like catching himself before he got wrapped up in it. So maybe he is scared. It's like, I'm even right now trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, because it's like, this is a weird thing. Like, I have a few theories that I want to throw out myself about what's going on. Now, first theory, like I was saying before, somebody came in, whether it's this Frank guy, or the owners of the Carolina Panthers, or just the people that are the head of the NFL. Anybody that is in a position to where they could possibly put his livelihood in danger may have gotten to him. I understand this is regardless of how many black faces or black arms, the people you see out there on the field doing what they do during the game, the owners are still black. I mean, white. The owners are still white. Those are the guys that run the ship. Those are the ones that make the calls. Which surprises me that nobody's came at Colin Kaepernick. We may not know. He's probably getting a whole lot of conversations here left and right. But, that's neither here or there. But, they still running the ship. So who knows? Because Cam was the number one hot button from last season, Maybe they decided to put a little fear in him. And if that's the case, it's a shame that even in the face of that, you still cowered out. Like, but then what if, he's thinking about his family? Like, what if they didn't just threaten his livelihood? What if they threatened his life? What if they threatened his family's lives? Or their health and well-being? Like, it could be a lot of things. And in that case, I can give you a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. But it's just a shame. Because you were going through the exact same thing Colin Kaepernick is going through. You faced discrimination like so many of us went through. And maybe you just couldn't handle the pressure. You were a symbol of something different. We don't really, like I said, we got, most times it'd be Ray Rice's. Or we got Warren Sapp. I don't like him anyway. I'll keep bringing him up. Look at other sports. We got guys like Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. I can go back to football. Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is an all lives matter motherfucker. I don't give a fuck if he tried to take them comments back later. He said what he said. That's what he meant. Somebody told him, or he just couldn't handle the heat when all the people was getting at his ass on Twitter. But let's just be honest. It's all, that's who he is. That's who he is. Anyway. So I get it. We wasn't expecting you to go out here, but there's some athletes that just shut the fuck up. You got choices, man. So maybe it's that you couldn't handle the pressure. It was like they looking at Cam. He was the guy that was causing all this fuss last year, was getting all that hate and shit like that. And, what is he going to say now that discrimination isn't just the focus, but he is still the voice. He is still a voice. He is still a person in position that could say something. And you got scared and panicked because, Michael Jordan said that, white people wear Jordan too. And he didn't want to piss them off and make them not want to deal with him. So maybe Cam was thinking about his pockets too. It's still not an excuse, but I'm just trying to think, what could it be? Because it's like a whole nother guy. Like he's like a clone. Remember when everybody thought Gucci was a clone earlier? Like when he got first released and everybody's like, oh, no, that's not the same guy. I mean, shit, what if Cam Newton's a clone? What if they kidnapped the real Cam Newton and they cloned him and now we just got this guy that's going to say whatever he can say to get the hell out of there? He was scared. He was upset. He was like, I don't know. I don't want to piss nobody off. I don't want no issues. I don't want no issues, boss. I don't want no issues, boss. And then I'm thinking maybe he got rocked. I'm not even talking about, people spooking him or nothing like that. But after his loss, because I already said that was a crushing loss at the Super Bowl. And maybe he lost his heart in that game too. He was acting real scared that night. Maybe he lost his heart on the field because it was so devastating. Maybe he's just a shell of his former self. Because now we can talk about what he's doing on the field, and what he's doing on the field is just pathetic. I mean, I know we're only 4 games in. I'm recording this early, so this is actually before Sunday. So, next Sunday will be, the Sunday coming up would be 5 games. But we're only 4 games in and they're 1-3. Stats aren't looking real good. Maybe he's a shell of his former self. I even put an APB out and I was just like, yo, does anybody know where Cam left his balls last season? Because he's playing scared. But it ain't just the game. He's just scared in general. So that's my beef with Cam Newton. Because not even as a football player, You could be a regular guy down the street. But if you have some type of position, you have a few ears that are willing to lend their ears to you. A few people that are willing to lean in and hear your opinion. And instead of giving a straight answer, you decide to dance around the situation. You start to look a little different. Like, I know you probably didn't ask for this, Cam. You didn't ask to be a leader. You just want to play football. And I can kind of sympathize with that. There's a lot of things about being an artist that I didn't realize that was a part of the job as well. And all I want to do is rap. All I want to do is create music. So in a small way, I can understand you. But the difference between me and you is I rose to the occasion. I'm still rising to it. I'm still willing to take on those challenges and face them head on and accept what may happen, good or bad. And you decide to take the easy way out. Now, I know you just made a couple comments and a couple interviews, and all that's well and fine. And I don't want people to think I'm ragging on you like I'm never going to be a fan. I'm still a fan of you. Because your comments on race, up until you start to, do more to damage that reputation. You've made a couple comments, but you still have the potential to be a role model. You're still a young guy. He's only 27 years old. He got plenty of years to play. So I'm not going to sit here and just completely rag on you and just become like, oh, I'm not fucking with Cam no more. Because guess what? I'm still going to support you. Even if you don't stay with the Carolina Panthers. Like, I would still support you because you're a positive guy. But I'm just getting on here today to tell you that I have a beef with you. And I'm very disappointed in you. Because I thought you were somebody different, somebody that kids could really look up to. Little young black boys that don't really have too many role models in the sports industry today. And they were looking for somebody to, be somebody that's other than a Ray Rice that'll punch out his girlfriend, or a Ben Roethlisberger that would get convicted of rape, or somebody that just sucked like RG3. But then when it got a little too hot in the kitchen, when things off the field got a little too real, and you realized that you were still in the public eye, you folded and you just look like everybody else. But that's my time. Follow me on IG at Dangerous Minds Podcast, all one word, on IG. Check out my new single, On My Way We On. It's also on my website, www.vinnydangerous.com. Tune in next week for another episode of the Dangerous Minds Podcast. It's been your boy, Vinny Dangerous. I'm disappointed, Cam, but I'm still a fan. And with that being said, I'm out.